Hello. Welcome to Porch Chat.
Oh, is this a new show someplace?
No, it is not. We're trying to make it a new show.
Oh, I thought we were on my front porch.
We are on your front
Oh,
porch.
so this is Porch Chat
Porch Chats with
with Ed Bradley. Ed Bradley used to be my idol. I don't think I've ever shared that.
I like Ed Bradley. I had a crush on Ed Bradley.
Really?
He wasn't my idol, but I had a crush on him.
Ed Bradley was, for those of you who may not know, was a black journalist. He was on, what was it, 60 Minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Black journalist. He was the only one on there. He was on there for
He
years.
started out on CBS News, though, like he was
Right.
a reporter.
And he was part of the reason why I was able to solidify that I wanted to be a broadcast journalist since I majored in mass media at Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
And he died while I was at Hampton, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But he had a scholarship, but you had to be a broadcast journalist major. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you had to be black,
Oh.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But,
he was very pro-black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, but good day, thinkers, thought leaders, progressives, and dreamers.
Oh, wait, that's your channel.
I know that's all I was gonna say, because this is your shit, and I'm gonna let you fuck this guy.
All right.
So wait, before we start,
Yeah.
you should tell them that you're gonna actually officially call your channel. I mean, you don't have to do it now, but I'm just saying
It's the Scott of it all.
the Scott of it all.
Which I have to thank T Monet because she gave me that. And so just to give you a little history
Like
about
they know who she is.
T Monet, she's if you'll see her, she's following me. She wrote it in a comment on the last Porch Chat with Wendell.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig and I happened to be out drinking with Carlton last Saturday. And she yelled across the courtyard asking to share our margaritas.
Because we had pictures of margaritas.
Asking Craig, actually. And Craig said no.
I didn't know her.
And so I was like, well, he
The
didn't pay
fuck?
for the margaritas like we paid for.
Right, because I went to hold the table. So this place that we went to, and I'm not telling y'all the name because we don't need no extra lines at the places that we going to.
Right.
Because y'all go
Because we stood in line for at least 40 minutes.
So when I got to the restaurant first, and I was standing in the line, and I don't remember where I was coming from, but Carlton
The gym.
picked up. I was coming from the gym, and Carlton went and scooped up Scott, and we met at the place. So I was in the line when they pulled up, and so we were standing there talking because you have to order your food, and then you go and sit down, and then they'll call your name, and you go and pick up your food and go sit down. So it was a bunch of people, and they have this huge outdoor patio, and some of the tables were like smack dead in the sun, and it was pretty warm on Saturday.
It was.
And so I wanted to get a table that was kind of in the shade. I said, well, let me run inside to get us a table, and then when you guys get up to the line to order, I'll come back. I'll just leave my gym back at the table.
So basically, he was luxuriating in the shade while Carlton and I
And
stood
seated.
in the hot sun
and seated.
baking.
The thing about these car chats is I'm looking at all not
hear.
car chats, porch
Porch
chat.
chat.
I'm looking at all of the cars going by.
It won't be as bad because when Wendell and I did it on Martha's Vineyard, it was like heavy.
Oh, I don't even think about. I'm not even talking about them hearing it.
It's a
I'm distracted. I keep looking at every car going by. So I went and sat down, and I told them. I said, "Well, let me know when you get close, and I'll come back." So they never called. They never said come back. So Carlton just called and said, "Hey, what do you want to eat?" Da 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 da. So I told them what I wanted. So they ordered a picture of margarita.
No, we had already had one picture.
Oh yeah, we had one while we were in the line.
In the line. Yeah.
They finished it off
finished
without
it.
me.
Yes.
And so then when we sat down, we ended up ordering, I think, 2 more.
Yes.
That last one was good though. What was it, like pomegranate or
It was
no
mezcal.
hibiscus?
Oh, it was hibiscus. Oh, so we had 4.
We had 4.
We had the one we had in line.
I think we had 2 of the ones like we had in
we
line.
We had one we had in line. We had the skinny one that Carlton got.
Right.
Then we had hibiscus, and then we had mezcal. We had 4 pictures.
No wonder I was so fucking.
That's why I was
when
messed
I
up
went
too.
to see Smart, Funny, and Black. I could barely get myself together. So
Okay.
anyway, wait. Do you put your phone on Do Not Disturb so nobody calls or anything?
I had learned that, but I forgot just now. So it'll be okay.
Oh.
We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
So the last video I had to piecemeal it together in whatever that.
That was part of the reason why I got a second phone because I got because Carlton, my mother, they were like, I've been calling you for an hour, and I'm like, girl, I was on a live.
Right. Yeah. I probably should do that. All right. So let's talk real about let's have a porch chat about comments in our feeds.
Okay.
So recently, when we went live,
me, you, Elliot, and
Ryan, and someone wrote in your comment about you're not a good person.
Yeah.
And that you don't share.
Yeah.
And we were texting in a group text that we're all in. And now, mind you, I posted a video about how my mood was not in the best of moods, just because of people and, you know, not being kind or being considerate or being, you know, whatever.
Right.
And so, you know, Craig is of the mindset he ignores a lot of comments, particularly ones that are antagonistic, I guess, towards you, or unkind is my thought. And so they were like, you know, he or she, whoever this person is, wants some attention. And I was like, well, they're going to get it today. They're going to get some attention today.
Because what he or she, I don't know if it was male or female.
I don't either.
Said, well, we all know that Craig is not a good person, and I don't remember what else.
It said something about you not sharing, and that you have an only child. It's an only child thing.
Which I'm not an only child.
And then they ended it by saying, but we still love him.
Right.
And I read that
it's like a backhanded compliment.
Oh my God. And first of all, you're not an only child.
Right.
I actually am an only child. And so that's inaccurate. And then like to say all this stuff like he's not a good person. I was like, you don't even know him. Like that is so like, and not to mention we literally at the beginning of the live we had spent how much, like 20 minutes talking about
doing
donating
this homeless drive.
And like, I mean, so how, I don't understand, like that's confusing. So
yeah.
And then to come over to my page, are you on silent? So then coming over to my page, and I got some comments about me, and then about understanding. So Wendell and I were talking about the whole use of the thing Aunt Scott, and so it's a joke that I actually made.
He started the joke.
I started the joke. And
just for those who don't know how it started, I know we've told this before, but it's always somebody new watching.
Right.
Carlton and I, we would say something about having kids or something.
Yes.
And then I said, yeah, because
it happened. It was around the context of raising the kids.
Raising the kids and how it's going to take a village because like Carlton and I like to travel and go and do stuff. And he said, yeah, well.
Don't send them down to Aunt Scott's house.
He said, because you will not be sending them over to Aunt Scott's house.
So, and we joke like that.
And from then on, I just been saying Aunt Scott.
So, and when I think of it's completely hilarious. And, you know, if I'm tooting my own horn, I am a funny person sometimes. So, as are you.
Right.
And so, we say that to say, I'm in on the joke. However, I am not a person that I don't like for people to get too familiar with me, strangers, even acquaintances, like people that know me. Like, and I'm going to use the example of, and I use this in my video, that if you are introduced to me and you hear Craig call me girl, you hear Wendell call me girl.
Or bitch.
Or any of the.
That doesn't give you license to say it.
Craig and I have been friends for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Wendell and I have been friends for 30 years. You can't know me for 5 minutes and then be calling up, oh, well, girl, because I'll punch you in your mouth. Like, I don't get down like that. Like, that is not okay with me.
It's interesting because a female friend of mine from back home, she has the nonprofit organization back home, the Catherine family, and we helped them get the van and all that stuff. So anyway, she had called me last week and was like, oh my God, you all were saying punk and sissy and stuff on the live. She said, I just think that y'all need to do a disclaimer, because she's very sensitive. Like, she hates the word faggot and stuff like that. But she said, and she's a straight girl, but she's like, I just think that y'all need to do a disclaimer and say it's not okay for people outside of the community to use those words. And I said, and I usually am really good about saying it.
Yeah.
My hands are dry. I just washed them. But, you know, I said, I'm usually good about saying, listen, just if you're not in the community or part of the community, you shouldn't be saying these words. So that kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about today. I'm the same way. It's just like, even if I meet like gay folks and we're in a little gathering excuse me, or whatever, and some of the gay boys that I'm really cool with. Because for the most part, me and my friends don't say girl and Miss Thing and all that stuff. I have that relationship with Keon. He's just a different. And
you have that relation with me.
Right. But we don't say it like that all the time. Like, we really don't. Keon says it more than anybody that I know. Now, when I was in my 20s, me and my friends, the Head of Brink's first book, we used to say that kind of stuff. But I don't really have that kind of relationship with anybody.
I'm laughing at
the Head of Brink's. You know what the Head of Brink's is?
I do.
From Amen, the sisters. And so...
But y'all didn't call each other that out.
No, we didn't.
You had a ringtone.
Yeah. I had a ringtone
that went with what they were called.
Right. Charlie's Angels.
Yes. And all of them had the same ringtone.
We all had the same ringtone. And we only had it for each other. So I knew it was one of the angels calling me. And like, we were out at a tennis match one day, and I called Tito. Tito was at a tennis match, and I called Tito. And his players were like, is it Charlie's Angels? And he said, oh yeah, that's Craig or Alex. He didn't know which one of them was. But anyway, the point is, it's just when you have a rapport with people.
That's right. Well, wait. So I want to say, because I want to take it a step further and say that not only are we not like that, but everyone is not like that. Right. There are words, and I'm speaking to women right now. You will sit with your girlfriends and say, well, bitch, da-da-da-da-da, or girl, da-da-da-da-da. And if another woman comes into your circle and does that, you'll be like, wait a minute, we don't know.
Bitch. And don't let a straight man or a gay man, for that matter,
do that.
Come and be like, bitch, da da da.
You are instantly offended, and I will welcome anyone to challenge me and say that you're not, because you are.
If it's a guy that you do not know, and he just comes up, just start calling you bitch.
Well, hey, bitch.
Right. Oh, bitch, get out my face. Da da da. You know
or
what I mean? Like,
even the N word, like the same is true. Like, so if kids are rapping that word and someone that is not of the same ethnicity as us walks into that and uses that word, you're offended.
Right.
And it's the same story. This is not anything new. Like, you can't take those permissions and apply them to yourself just because you've seen them or heard them. There is context, and the context is 25 years of friendship, 25 years of understanding. There is, like, our intonations, our body language. We know all of those things about each other. You don't know those things about us.
Right.
And you may see us on a live, you may see us in, wherever, but you don't. So you don't get to take that license or entitlement. Is that the right word?
What was that? Or that privilege. What was that comment that you said somebody posted?
Oh, they posted that they were confused. You go on my page.
They posted it on his
on my. They were confused. Are you on my?
I had to respond to that text. Keep talking to the people.
Okay, so anyway, I want to talk about...
Which video was it under?
That one.
This one?
I want to talk about comments. I like comments. I welcome them. And I welcome them because I think when you have a dialogue, particularly if you're coming from different perspectives, there's growth in that. For myself as well. Like, I don't claim to be a know-it-all. I don't, I know what I know. Now, if the topic at hand is Scott, I'm the subject matter expert, and I might challenge you back, or I might just be like, whatever. But if you're writing a comment that, you're taking a stance on, be prepared, particularly on my page, because I might challenge you. Like, and you need to validate your source. You need to make me understand why you think this, like, because we're going to have a dialogue about it. And it's important to note that for me, because I don't know you, they're just words on a screen. And I say that I don't know you because I don't know your intonation. I don't know how you use words. I don't know your mood. I don't know your affect. I don't know you. And so when you read my comment back, I would appreciate the same courtesy, because at the end of the day, you don't know me either.
Is this the one, Scott? I think the on Scott label does bother you.
No. That's another one. Keep going, or keep scrolling.
Oh, this is confusing.
Yes.
Okay, so she says, this is confusing because if I hear you answer to a female pronoun, I'm going to use the pronoun because I'd assume that's your preferred pronoun. I would have no idea I offended you or that the pronoun is reserved for close friends. So Scott says, it really is not that confusing. So based on what you just wrote, if a person who is not African American heard you referred to as the N word or a man, the B word, by one of your friends, then I can assume it's okay to use that word with you? No, I doubt that would be okay with you. When you have an established rapport with someone, they are given permissions that a casual acquaintance or a total stranger are not. So she responded. She says, Scott, I'm only saying I wouldn't know. We know the N word and B word are offensive. I'm using this as a teaching moment because I really had no idea. But, and then she says, I try to use first names because I'm not intentionally trying to hurt feelings.
So let's, for just a second, and I'm not putting this out, we didn't mention the person's name, and I'd appreciate, be respectful. But let's dissect the comment for a second, because they said, I wouldn't know. But you in your previous comment, you said, I assume that the person, it's okay to use that this is their preferred pronoun. It's not okay to assume.
Right.
Like, you can't, there's a context. You're watching or listening or overhearing a conversation, and you don't have all of the information, i.e. 25 years of friendship. And like, we just didn't walk in off the street and be like, oh, well, bitch, what's going on?
Well, I'm going to say this too, because even when it comes to the white gays, I think sometimes they're a little too familiar. They get a little too familiar, especially when they get to they get in their cup.
Or they've watched one too many black television
right, because some of the white gay boys, they think they black women, and they just get the pop in their head. Oh, Miss Girl and Miss Thing. And I'm like, slow down, Peppermint.
Right.
Slow down, Peppermint. I don't know you like that. They get the, especially when they're in their cup, though.
Can I give a story about that?
Go ahead.
So remember when I used to live with Trace and Gray?
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't know you then.
Oh, okay.
I met you right after that.
I had two white roommates, Trace and Gray. They were a couple, and Trace owned the house. It was a split-level house. I lived on the top floor. The middle floor was like the kitchen, living room, and stuff. And they lived on the bottom floor. Mm-hmm. We decided to have a party because we were like, oh, well, let's merge our friends. Let's introduce the white guys to the black guys. So I come downstairs to my kitchen because I live there. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? This white guy comes over to me and says, how you doing? And I looked at him. I was like, hello, my name is Scott.
Right. It's just like, why are you doing that? Right.
So as he's leaving, I walk over to him, and my girlfriend Rashida is with me, and she's like,
I guess he had seen too much Martin.
Something. Or Wendy Wood. I don't know.
Right. Wendy Williams, right.
Well, Wendy Williams wasn't on. I mean, she was on the radio back then.
I was getting Shanae.
And so I walked over to him as he's walking down my driveway. And I was like, what was that about? And he was like, oh, I was just trying to be friendly. And I was like, I don't think so.
Because would you have done that with a white guy?
Right.
How you doing?
Right. So my point in sharing this is like, it's the familiarity thing. Like, there are certain things that you just don't do.
But the same is true, like when you go into a store and the clerk or the person helping you is a black person, and they assume because you're black that they can take certain liberties or say certain things,
or they don't even have to say thank you,
or right, they ain't got to really acknowledge, they don't have to really give you that level of customer service that they would give to other customers, because it's like, oh, you black, I'm black, or they just on the phone, they cursing, or they cursing talking to other coworkers. I told that bitch,
or they on the phone, why they bringing you out?
And I'm like,
well, bitch, what you doing? I get off the 6.
Right.
Like, can you check me out?
Or even like if something going on in the store, like if there's a staffing issue, my fucking manager gonna come over here talking about she ain't wanna, like, they involving you. I'm like, girl, I don't need to know the inner workings of what's happening here at the Dollar Tree. I'm just trying to come in and come back out.
Right.
I just came in for some Q-tips.
Some fingernail polish remover.
Right. I just think that's, I'm like, that's so unprofessional.
But that, I mean, so to me, that's a difference of not really being respectful of your job in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it has anything to do with me personally.
Right.
It really just has to do with you not really understanding what's appropriate at work.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what's in my mind.
It's just a lack of professionalism.
It is.
Right.
Not to mention now, if you want to take it a step further, it's not appropriate to be having that conversation in front of me as a customer. And maybe you're taking liberties because you see me as a black person and maybe you think it's okay. It's not okay. Because what they don't know is I work in human resources. And I tend to remember stuff. I'm very detail oriented. And so when I encounter stuff like that, I'm always like, please God, don't let this person ever sit down in front of me for an interview. Because I'll remember and be like, not hiring.
Right. Right.
So
it's kind of like,
do you respond? You respond to comments sometimes.
It's rare.
It's rare.
It's very rare.
And so Craig and Elliot.
I mean, I respond to the good ones. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, your mom looks really good for her birthday.
Yeah.
I'll respond to stuff like that. Or you know,
but you've lit some people. You've lit some people up in the comments.
I have, but it's really rare though. I think like in the instances where I did it, like I was really stressed, like when my mom was here.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot on my plate, and I just
think
didn't have
that's
as
what
much.
was like for me.
Yeah.
Like I even said it. I was like, I'm in my feelings right now, and you gonna get it. Like I'm not having this, particularly talking about my friend. Like if you know me, I'm very protective of people in my life. Like you don't fuck with them. Like it's just that simple with me. Particularly if you don't know what you're talking about.
Right. But yeah, I mean, people would say stuff, you know, and that goes back to what I was gonna say in the beginning too. I think one of the beautiful things about this live stuff happening for me in my 40s is that I was in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? So, like, once you're in your 40s...
What do you mean? So you're settling into yourself?
And the little things don't bother me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those comments.
I think that's true of me, too.
Right. But if I was doing this in my 20s...
Oh, my God.
Or my 30s,
you'd never leave the house because you'd be responding to everybody.
I'd be tearing them up. Yeah. But Madison started early. She was doing this when there was Vine. I didn't do Vine.
But I think so.
So she was in her like.
Don't you think it's true though? Like when you are transgendered or when you are a gay man, your skin is a lot thicker.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I think when you're queer, period. Yes.
I mean,
because you've gone through your whole life
feeling like you can be talked to, like,
and you have to defend yourself. You've been defending yourself. Like you've gotten so much practice. And I think that's why. And I've said this somewhere before. I think that's why so many gay men have such quick tongues.
I know I do.
It's because you spent so much of your childhood defending and arguing and you know, having to read people because they said whatever they said about you. And maybe even fight. So I think that's why a lot of us have quick tongues.
Yeah.
Because you arguing with your cousins, your family, your friends, you know, whomever, people in the street. But you know, I think because Madison started so early doing lives and videos and shit, she's gotten used to responding to comments. And when I started working with her, I was like, girl, why are you...
she responds. Like
yes,
in a good...
indeed.
Oh, okay.
No, she responds. Like she'll argue back. In fact, she called me today yesterday and said, bitch, I am not above reading these hoes. You know, she just said it the other day.
Well, and so for me, like, I'm not really trying to read anyone. Like, if you notice...
No, it's like when they get in her comments saying crazy shit, like they might be saying, you know, you're still a man. I don't care what you got on.
Oh,
like they might be
just
saying
completely disrespectful.
Right.
That's a whole nother level.
Or they'll be in her videos saying, "Who is she? I don't know who the fuck she is. I ain't never heard of her." Like they doing stuff like that,
which is just a level of disrespect.
just basically undermining what she's accomplished and what she's done.
And I don't feel like that. Like, do you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that would be a different level of commenting on my part. Like, I do feel like people are being respectful, and my point is, understand that I'm being equally respectful, but I'm going to challenge you back. Like, I'm going to push you like you're pushing me with the same kind of
resistance.
Yeah, force. That's right.
But yeah, so she'll respond. And like I said, every now and then I will. But I think I probably responded more to
earlier on.
No, I was really good about ignoring that shit in the beginning. I definitely didn't respond. I think I've gotten to the point now. I think I was gonna say, and I don't know how true this is, but I think it, like when I had more on my plate, like with my mom here, I just had little patience. My patience was short.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to them commenting about certain things about what they thought I should be doing with my mom. And because a lot of them were making up shit. Just like somebody, the top of the video, the girl said, I'm so selfish and, just this, that, and the third. They would say to me, oh, well, you only, they basically were trying to say that I was trying to put Carlton before my mom, and you just worried about that man. You just so scared you're gonna lose him, and that's why you don't want your mother there, and that's why you don't want to do this. That's your mother.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, they would go
in.
You should be and I mean they would have whole threads. Like I mean it'd be like two of them just going back and forth. Yeah, girl, you understand what I'm saying? These other people, they just listen to him because they love him so much, but real is real, and it just don't make no sense.
Let's talk real. You have a lot of time on your hand to be doing all that.
Yeah, like they would be in those comments, and a lot of times I'd be
that's
good.
The same person that's at the register on their phone typing their comments,
and when you walk up, when you walk up, you can't get service. But it's just like they would be going in. But then there were a lot of people that would email me through Patreon or DM me and say, "Oh my God, listen," or they'd be in the comments eating their asses up, fighting back with them. But they'd be like, "Craig, you're doing a great job." These people that have so much negative stuff to say have never
gone through all that. Oh my God.
And they don't understand. They said, we understand. We see you.
That's right.
We know that it's hard.
That's right.
It's not easy. You're doing a great job. You're learning as you're going. So those things would help.
So the good outweighed
the good outweighed the bad. And then I just realized these people don't know, because sometimes they would just be way off base.
Yeah.
Like there were things that my mother wanted to do that I didn't want to do, and they'd be like, they would thought it was my idea. Well, why you letting? Well, I don't understand why you doing this, that, and the third. Because there were a lot of times my mother would be like, well, I'm trying to think of an example. Like she'd be like, well, I can't think of anything right now, but she might be like, well, go ahead and go and do this, that, and the third. Like she might say, well, you and Carlton go do whatever. I'll be fine. I'll just stay here. I don't remember, but I can't think of an exact example. But they would be criticizing things, and I'm like. Because, like, for example, like, she was trying to get in the habit of using, like, the mobility service. Mm. And, like, sometimes they'd be like, well, I don't understand why you can't. That's your mother. You should be wanting to do this, that, and the third. Because you only get one mother. And, And I'm just
here's the thing.
Just because you only get one mother doesn't mean that I'm not tired. I'm still tired.
Well,
okay?
My thing is that the choices that people make for their life has nothing to do with the choices that you make for your life.
Exactly.
Like there are people make choices that are best for their life in that moment.
And people think that because...
And they think that's easy, that you just land on that.
And people think that because you share your life... That it warrants them to be nasty and mean. You can give your opinion.
Sure.
But there's a way to do it without trying to be nasty and hurtful.
And my point, to the point of you can give your opinion, I have an opinion. But I have one too.
Right.
And I get to express my, like, if you want to come express it, be prepared that I might express mine back. And I mean, like the comment that you started to read said that, Scott, I do think you're bothered by the Aunt Scott. If I were truly bothered by that, I would have said something to Craig. I would have said it on the live. I'm not on here talking about my suicide attempt, talking about my status, and then hiding something so trivial like Aunt Scott.
Right.
Why would I do that?
Right.
That makes no sense. And have I ever brought up Aunt Scott to you as it bothering me?
No. But I just think that and what I realized too is I have to step back and just be like, sometimes the people that make those really, really nasty comments, no matter, I don't know what's going on in their lives, but sometimes they're just hurting and suffering from whatever's going on in their own life. My hands are extremely dry. They're going...
Well, I want to, because I don't want people to think that, because you segued into making hurtful, like I didn't feel like those were hurtful comments towards me.
No, I meant the ones that they were saying, like when it was coming to because I mean, even when I first started bringing Carlton onto the videos, like some people would say real nasty things.
And I'm okay with that. Like if you have something nasty to say, like
but they would just say stuff. Well, I hate his hair. Why he got that hair like that? And like it was just like.
And isn't it funny to me? It's funny to me in an ironic way that it's always those people that don't have a picture.
Yeah.
Or don't even have like a real name as their profile. Their username, they feel the need to comment on how someone else looks.
Or they'll talk about they'll be like, "Oh, Carlton ain't really into you, Craig," and like, or they would say that I was just using Carlton because I was trying to social climb.
What?
Like, what? Huh? You know, I mean, or they would talk about the age difference. I mean, they would say all kinds of mean stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to tell him, I'm like, don't read it.
Yeah.
Like, why are you reading? Because in the beginning, he used to watch the videos back, and then he'd be sitting there looking at the comments.
So, and honestly, so I'm getting to that point. So today on my phone, I turned my notifications off. So I don't even see like if I see the comments, then I will, read and respond. Right. But I think because I was getting the notifications, I felt obligated to read them. Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, I could read them in my inbox on my email. And I don't know that I probably need to get like it's honestly like going down a rabbit hole. But know that I do welcome comments, and I do welcome comments that may or may not agree with my own, like opinions that don't necessarily agree with me. I'm happy to have that dialogue. It doesn't bother me in the least, and I'm not offended. I'm not even really agitated, but I am going to, I'm going to push back. Like I'm going to, you don't get to say what you want to say and then that's just the end of it. Like we can have a dialogue, a respectful dialogue, but a dialogue.
But yeah, I mean, and in the beginning, I used to read the comments. I used to go back and watch the video and look at the comments. But then it was just like,
for what?
Think about the poison that you're self-inflicting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're going back and reading those nasty comments. And there are times that I'll start typing a response, and then I say, you know what, Craig? You're not going to feel any better once you send this.
Yeah.
And then it was just like...
In fact, you might feel guilty.
Right. And then they want you to respond. They like when they're saying something intentionally nasty, they really want your attention. And it's just like you send a more powerful message when you don't respond at all. And you leave the comment down there for other people to see it, because I don't go in there and delete comments either.
I think you just threw my words back at me.
What?
Would you make a more powerful comment by not responding at all?
Yeah, when we were in Baltimore. Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes you do need to be reminded of that. Like silence is a really powerful tool.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
I don't have to engage.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that feels as though it's social media. So I should be social. Like you're making comments, so I should respond.
Right.
I don't know.
And
there's a balance in there.
It is a balance. And that's why I try to respond, because sometimes people are asking like legitimate questions like, hey, what kind of black soap do you use? Like if I've talked about it in a video or something like that. Or like when I do my fruit and veggie wash, I was saying you can use baking soda. And I think I kind of one day said baking powder. And somebody was like, well, is it baking soda or powder? So I try to respond, like I try to be interactive. Excuse me, because I don't try to just be like, oh, well, I'm not responding to nobody's comment. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Some people are like that. They're like, oh, I don't respond to them comments. You know, they feel like higher up because they don't respond.
Right.
But I literally try to respond to comments.
No, sorry.
I try to respond to the comments. He don't see this motherfucking camera right here. And he gonna interrupt our video. He gonna ask us about a video. Ask us about a motherfucking lighter.
He fiending for a cigarette right now.
But I passed her by. But yeah, so what was I saying?
That you don't feel higher up and you try.
Oh yeah. So I try to respond, and so it's always funny to me when, especially on Instagram, when somebody, because it goes to a filtered box, and so I do go check my DMs from time to time, and I'll respond depending on what it is, and they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe you responded to my DM. And they would just, they'll say
you
like...
have like 30,000 followers. So
I know, and I don't respond to all of them, but, because sometimes, it's like a flirt or... Yeah, so I don't always respond.
Yeah.
I'll respond to the flirts if
like
it's a
person
woman.
that said, can I have Scott's number?
Right. Or they'd be like, "Ooh, can I eat your booty?" And
like, my God,
yeah, they be saying all kinds of shit. Listen, this one boy, he sent him a whole video of himself jacking off, leaning in his kitchen, leaning on the refrigerator.
Okay, so I did get one of those.
The plot thickens.
I did get.
You don't say.
I did get one of those.
When was this?
It was shortly after we started doing. I started appearing.
Was it someone that you were found attractive?
No, I don't know. Like, cause they had like a faceless profile, and I just got like a big fat uncut.
What did you respond?
No, I did not. Because I don't know if that's them. Like, you know, like you might be trying to bait me into it. I wasn't really like, I mean, for all I know, you might be some 16-year-old. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not doing that. So, no thanks.
Basically.
I'm more interested in people that have the courage of their convictions. You know what I mean? Like, here's my face, here's my body, you know, here's my profile, I have pictures, you know.
But what's baffling to me also too is it's like there are people who are so invested in coming on to the live streams and saying negative things. Oh, I really just don't like you, and I don't really get those blatant things like that, but I've seen it happen to other people, or I've had people say something similar. They be like, you know, you're just so full of yourself, or you're just so self. It's like, well, why do you? But their names in there all the time. I'm like, well, why do you keep watching? Because I ain't watching no bitch that I don't like. You understand? Like, why are you torturing yourself? Like, if you don't like, I don't. To me, that's the sign of some sort of a mental illness or some shit. Like you are torturing yourself. Why are you punishing yourself?
Right.
You don't have to sit there and look at my YouTube or Facebook Live.
Because you have other options.
You can turn your phone off.
Or watch television.
Go on Hulu.
Go for a walk.
Right, and you sitting there suffering like, he just makes me sick. You sitting there looking at the video doing all of that? Bitch, you crazy. Like, something wrong with you. Like, who does that? I don't know. That would be like me sitting here looking at Tyler Perry shit all day long, knowing I don't like his stuff. I have no issue with him, but I don't like his stuff. But I'm going to sit there and watch Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I'm going to sit there and watch House of Pain.
Right.
And be like, oh, this is so stupid. Why, this is dumb. Like, that's dumb.
And that's dumb, D-U-M-B. Dumb.
D-U-M-B. Dumb.
Yeah, I concur. I don't understand that either. Like, I don't. It's like it's having some integrity with your work. Like, so if you claim this is what you claim, I don't like this person. Then there's actions that support this claim. Correct? That's
right.
So, like, if you claim to, like, I don't like him, he's you know, whatever, then maybe you shouldn't watch.
Right. So here's the thing. When I started getting a lot of that critique about my mom and what I was doing, and I should be doing more, and you know, this, that, and the third, because again, the people who were making those comments saw like one live video where I'm talking about an issue, or
they get one little tiny thread.
It's like you're not seeing what's happening day to day, all day, every day, and
I see more than they see, and I still reserve. I never said anything to Craig about. Because I don't know that. Like, my parents are healthy and they are self-sufficient. And, like, so I don't feel the place to say any. All I said to Craig was, whatever you decide, like, I'm your friend and I support whatever you.
But it was also like you, Elliot, and Ryan would make, Leonard, would make suggestions. Not suggestions, would offer to do certain things. Hey, well, you know, I can go and pick up your mom something to eat, or you need me to run it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, well, I think you should do this, and the third. No, they volunteered themselves and they did it instead of giving me something else to pile on my list. Because it was like, people would be like, well, I think you should, like, Angela was good for this, love her to death. But Angela would be like, well, Craig, I think you should do such. And I'm like, well, girl, you could actually come over here and do it. You could take her to such, you know what I mean? And she'd be like, oh, I'm going to take your mother out one day. I'm going to take her to lunch, and try it never happened. But see.
But Angela did, like, come over and do your.
She did come over and help me with the gardening. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it was like people would.
Stuff in her wheelhouse.
Right, in your wheelhouse. And people would just volunteer to do it. But, you know, a lot of people who were making these negative comments were like, well, I just think you need to do this, that, and the third. And it's just like, well, girl, you ain't never been nobody's caretaker, one. Two, my plate is already full, and I can't get to everything today. Sorry.
But even if they have been someone's caretaker, they weren't Gladys's caretaker.
Exactly.
So it's different.
And you're not me. You do things the way that you think you want to do it, and I'm going to do things the way that I think is convenient for me.
That's right. Because everybody's life, everybody's situation is entirely different. And, like, when you get a snapshot or a glimpse, like, you can't, I love people, right? But we, meaning black people, have a tendency to get a snapshot and form a snap judgment. And we jump on bandwagons, and then we're just like, yeah, like, let's kill them all.
But this is why I always say, you know, and this is why in Book of Jewels, the dedication is a dedication to Black people. And one of the things that I say in there is we really need and have to do a better job of being sweeter and kinder to each other. Because like I think about the Whitney Houstons of the world, how we loved her and we adored her, but we also were complicit in ways, you know, the way that we tore her down and just
because initially when she came at like they, you know, she would go on Soul Train Awards and they'd boo her.
Right.
Because she wasn't Black enough. Or she was on the pop show.
And it's like, we don't think about a person's mental health. Yeah. And that's why I will take my sabbaticals. Like, I'll come off and I won't go live for several days. Yeah. Because I may be exhausted from my own life. Or I may have been exhausted from whatever was going on. Or maybe I had taken one too many hits in the comments and I just needed a break. You know what I mean? To kind of recharge. And because I don't want it to affect me. I don't want the comments to affect me. So I'll step back a few days so that I don't really absorb that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Fully.
Because, and I want to talk about that for a second because I don't think people understand that words matter. Mm-hmm. And
because they stick.
They do, like, whether or not we engage with you, sometimes we read them and they still sting.
Yeah.
Because
I just think of it from a holistic point of view. It's like, if I'm doing videos and I'm absorbing those negative comments, after 5 years of reading those comments, that starts to shape me. Yeah. It starts to alter.
That's right.
My life experiences and how I experience things and perceive things. So I step back so I don't.
It's really as simple as the lesson that I got, and I guess maybe a lot of people didn't get as a young child. I'm gonna say like 5, and that is, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Right. And that's why I started to do the videos a little differently too. So like, I stopped showing my mother on the lives. Oh. I know some of you probably noticed that. So I stopped showing her as much because sometimes they'd be like, well, why does she look so unhappy today? What did you do to her? Like, and it would be
and
that
nothing. Impacts you. But it impacts
it's like, you. So what you think I'm gonna be fighting on her? But it may be a day where she just wasn't feeling her best. She may have been nauseous. She may have been still feeling woozy or whatever.
Or she just may have been drained from the dialysis.
Exactly. And they'd be trying to read her facial expressions and like, well, what's wrong with her? What'd you do to her? And da-da-da-da. Or I could tell he must have done something. Like, they be having whole conversations. So I stopped showing her on the lives. And like, she might be in the car while I'm doing the live, but the camera wouldn't be on her. Right. And you would hear her talking or something like that. But I reserved it for Patreon. Yeah. And the same is true now with Carlton. Like, I've started to do less with him on the lives because I haven't really had, like when we went to Virginia and wherever else we went, I didn't do any lives. Yeah. I did Patreon.
You're right.
A bunch of Patreon and uploaded that. But I've learned that the people that are on my Patreon
are a little bit more supportive or respectful.
It's almost like they're more supportive and respectful because they really do adore you.
But is it because like, they see more, maybe?
It might be that, but it's also like if a person is paying to see you, they must really.
They want to be there.
They want to be there, and they care about you to some degree. Yeah. In a way beyond people who are just watching you on YouTube.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they really are invested in supporting you.
Sure. Well, because that's, again, the integrity. Their words match their actions.
And that's why I share things over there. Not even just like stuff that's going on with me, but like, for example, like the student loan thing, how to get your money back. That's why I shared it over there because I try to give back to them because I recognize that they don't have to pay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And so I try to share different things with them. I give them experiences that you're not going to get on the lives. You know what I mean? All of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I try to, like things that I've learned or what I try to definitely give it to. Even like Pay for Your Say. It started with Patreon.
Right.
Ever before I was doing it on lives. Like they had it for probably about a month or whatever before I started talking about it on the lives. Because I knew that they would realize that it was a real thing.
It was
that it wasn't something that I was just attaching myself to and trying to get them to sign up.
Yeah. But you were serious. It was concrete.
Yeah. And so I've even, like I said, decided to alter how I share Carlton on the lives because again, like they'd be saying little negative things, or they'd be like, "Oh, father and son are back together." Like, oh yeah, they've said all kinds of nasty shit. Yeah. Or they'll be like, yeah, you can tell Carlton ain't really into Craig. Look at the way he, because sometimes, or they'll be like, you can tell they just had an argument. Craig, what'd you do to Carlton? And I'm like, what are you talking about? We just literally just finished laughing about something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, they
just be reaching.
Right.
And so I'm like, you know what? I'll fix them. You won't even get certain things no more on the live. So yeah. So and then Carlton and I have had conversations.
But that's kind of my point. Like the impact of people's words causes when we are trying to be transparent and just have fun and enjoy, right? Engaging. But their words cause us to pull back and be less transparent and cause us to be like, okay, I'm only going to give you so much. Whereas, I mean...
Yeah, you end up being more guarded.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm already guarded.
Right. Because even like with this homeless giveaway, and this ain't new for me. Like I've been doing stuff like this. Like from the time those of you who've been following me for a while, from the time I first started streaming.
Yeah.
Now I wasn't necessarily gathering up bags and taking them out.
I'm gonna take you back farther than that because you have been doing stuff like giveaways. Like I remember when, because I donated books to Youth Pride.
Oh yes.
You were so you've constantly.
I forgot about that.
You've been doing stuff, giving back in your own way for forever. So it started way before that. Like
so when I put my first book out. At the time, I had this goal of, and those of you that have been following me for a while, you know this too. I had this goal of donating books to every LGBTQ youth organization in the country. And so I had my friends donate it, and then I would just ship them to the organization so they could have them in their library. And just so that young queer kids coming up could see themselves in these books, could read these books. And I had dinner with a friend of mine last night. She was visiting from LA. She flew back to LA today. But she used to be a dean at Princeton, and she was trying to get Words Never Spoken as required reading over there in their queer studies, and we were talking about that last night. But at any rate, so in the beginning, I was doing like there's an organization in Texas, in Houston, called Toiletries for Families, and like we donated. I had all my followers and stuff at the time. We donated to them. They donated money through Facebook to their organization directly. But then we also sent a bunch of toiletries directly down there to them. Like we all shipped stuff down there.
Yeah.
And so I did a live with the executive director. So like I've always tried to use it for something other than my own benefit.
That's right.
Right. Because a lot of people, they get on social media and they only on there about making their own money. They're not trying to galvanize people. I try to talk to people about going to vote and just whatever. Because I just feel like social media should be more than just.
So the benefits of it, the monetization,
just the monetization. Yeah, it should be more than that. It should galvanize it because really and truly, social media is the reason that Black Lives Matter and all of these other organizations have grassroots organizations have been able to really bring attention to causes, or whether you're going all the way back to the Gina 6 thing down in Louisiana, like it was because of social media.
Right.
Those videos get posted by somebody and then they spread.
I mean, and what you do, and I guess maybe to an extent what I do, is that it's information. Like you're passing along information. And the reason, and I think I said this on the Porch Chat with Wendell, is one of my intentions for me doing this is not just because people from Craig's channel have come to my channel and asked me to do it, but also because I want to normalize how you interact with Black gay men. I want you to see us in all facets.
And not just what you see given to you on TV.
On TV, right? Because we live very normal, every day.
And it's so funny because that's one of the things that come in all of the time in the comments. Like, oh my God, you guys have really changed my perspective on how I see gay people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I always thought it was one way.
That's right.
Or just whatever. So I mean, that's a part of it too.
And just so you understand, this conversation, like how Craig and I are speaking to you and speaking to each other right now, is generally how we speak with each other.
Right.
It
ain't all Miss Thing.
Right.
Like, it ain't all.
It's not the live that you see with me, right? And generally speaking, even when the four of us are together, this is the tone of our conversation.
Yeah.
Like we have fun.
Yeah.
But this is more so. It's more so subdued and more so this than it is that.
Right.
Would you agree?
I agree for sure. Now we're supposed to be going to Six Flags on Sunday. And if Aunt Scott comes,
Craig gave me this little side eye because Carlton has free tickets.
Yes.
And I immediately said yes because I love roller coasters. I love amusement parks. I always have. But then I started thinking about my pinched nerve, and I was kind of like, okay, I just got my neck right, and and I'm 54, and those roller coasters gonna be bopping and moving and breaking and doing all that stuff, and I'm like, do I really want to do that and risk, aggravating my nerves? Right. So Craig is looking at me with a side eye, like, I already know you gonna back out.
So if we go, well, Carlton and I are definitely gonna go.
Y'all are going.
But I will give you guys some Patreon because I'm gonna take my GoPro. I haven't used my GoPro in probably a year.
I have a GoPro that just sits in a drawer in my house.
Really? Yeah. See, I got the harness and everything, so I'll put the harness on when we're on our roller coasters and stuff. See, I use that as opposed to the phone when I'm doing activities.
Oh.
So like if I'm zip lining, or like when we're on vacation and we're in the water.
So my parents gave it to me as a Christmas gift, and I never fully understood the power.
So that's how I use mine. I don't use.
But you can go live with it from the as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi.
You got to be connected to Wi-Fi. So I've never gone live with it because I'm like, I don't see the point of that.
Okay, I got to figure that out.
Because I mean, it looks different when you're inside.
Yeah.
Through that GoPro,
right?
It almost looks like you're looking in a fishbowl. But it works better when you're outside because it opens up everything. But like, how are you gonna have Wi-Fi outside?
Oh,
like how would you connect? Like you would have to be stationary or something. So I just record on mine, and then I dump all of the footage, and I put my little transitions and stuff in it, and I create my story.
I have to figure that out. I have to go pull it out of
my
drawer.
But I mostly use that now when I'm doing activity, and
like
I can't
if we
be holding
bike riding or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I used to do it because I got like the thing to go on your forehead to capture footage and.
Yeah.
So I.
But you could use the little stick that you could stick on your dashboard. Yes.
Yeah, I've used it in the car, and I've attached it in the car. But again, it's recording. It still ain't live. I don't live stream. Okay. I tried live streaming with it, and it just kept disconnecting. I said, well, I ain't about to be doing all of that.
Okay. Well, but I guess, the other thing is we have, it might cost an arm and a leg, but we have those things on our phone where you can create a, what's it called? You can go on your phone and do a setting where you can turn on a hotspot.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I tried that. I don't know if I tried the hotspot. But I just realized that I don't need to
just be
go live from the camera. Yeah. From that camera.
It's a lot of technology.
But the footage is amazing. Like when I do it.
Yeah. I can only imagine like being on a roller coaster. That probably looks awesome.
And then like when we were jumping off things into the water in Mexico, and because the camera goes underwater, and like when we were snorkeling and stuff, like I mean they went up when they saw that footage. They were like, oh my God, this Patreon is everything, because I literally try to create experiences. It's like, why else would people want to subscribe if you're not really giving them something that's visually appealing?
Right. Yeah, and you're there.
I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah.
All right, we've been on here almost an hour. I have to go meet my cousin for lunch. And Craig is...
What time is the lunch?
1:30.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and I need to get on with my day. I'm going to go ahead to the chiropractor. Let me go ahead and schedule me an appointment.
You see what I'm saying? Like, my phone didn't ring. My phone don't ring. Ain't nobody calling me.
Yeah, let me go schedule me an appointment. I'm going to go to the gym first. Today is the 20th?
Yes, it is.
And then I'm going to go to the chiropractor. I'm going to go to the...
Thanks for joining us on my Porch Chat. Look for more. I'll be on different porches, maybe one near you. Have a good day.
Oh, that's right. They were only open until Wednesday.